99 distance races, thousands of hours of training, and 5 silly mistakes that cost me hours on race day. But here's what's crazy. The third mistake I'm going to tell you about nearly caused me to quit any form of racing forever. And mistake number 5, well, it completely changed how I now think about competition. I'm talking about events where I might lose 1 to 2 hours in races. A time that could have been the difference between setting a personal best and, as it often was, just surviving to the finish line. So if you're racing any type of long distance event, these errors will absolutely destroy your day. But here's the thing, every single one of them is completely avoidable. I'm Simon Ward, and over nearly 2 decades of long distance racing, 200 kilometre cycle races, multi-day ultra runs and long distance triathlons, I've made just about every single mistake in the book. And today I'm going to share the 5 race day execution errors that hurt the most. Not just in terms of the time on the finish line, but in missed opportunities and shattered goals. And if you stick around to that final mistake, number 5, I'm going to show you why obsessing over your finish time and what's on your watch might be the worst thing that you can do. So let's start out with the mistake that nearly ended my racing career not long after it had begun. Ironman Lanzarote. It's one of the toughest M.Dot races on the planet. It's a tough bike course, and I probably pushed harder than I should have done, battling the wind, which is common in Lanzarote, the long hills and high race day temperatures for many hours. But on the return to transition, with a tailwind and slightly downhill, I felt really, really good. But then 3 miles into the run, I had such bad stomach cramps that I was vomiting by the side of the road. I spent the next 6 hours just surviving, walking most of it, drinking a little bit of water and Coca-Cola to keep me going. And what should have been an 11-hour race became 14 hours of just pure suffering. So here's what I learned the hard way from that. This nutrition plan had given me a PB the year before, but a race nutrition plan is not about calories and timing, it's about adapting to the conditions. On that day, hot weather changed everything. It changed my sweat rate, the ability of my gut to process food, even my taste preferences. So what I learned was that you need to have 3 different nutrition strategies. One for cool weather, one for hot weather, and an emergency backup. And maybe a few more. Same principles, different execution for each race. But that wasn't even my most expensive mistake. Mistake number 2 cost me more than 1 hour in a single race, maybe 2. And it all started because I actually felt amazing. I managed a really good consistent spell of winter training. I was fitter on the bike than ever. And I determined to show everybody just what I could do. So I had a solid swim. I normally get out in front of a lot of the Uber bikers and often get overtaken by them, but not today. I stayed in the top 100 out of about 2,500 people right through to T2. But then just like the last race at mile 3, the wheels came off. My legs turned to concrete. Every step was agony. I watched dozens of people I passed on the bike cruise past me like I was standing still. In fact, at times I was standing still. So, what felt like my strongest bike split became my slowest marathon ever. I don't think I've actually run anything slower, if you can call it running. What I learned here is the bike leg isn't about showing how strong you are. It's about setting yourself up for the run. The goal is to arrive in T2 feeling like you could ride another 20 miles on the bike. So if you get into that second transition and you're slightly disappointed with your bike split, then you probably rode it at the right pace. You need to save the heroics for the run. That's where they're won and, crucially, where they're lost. So this is where it gets interesting. Mistake number 3 wasn't about nutrition or pacing. This was about my head. Mental warfare. At mile 8 of the marathon this time, the wheels were coming off yet again. My pace had dropped yet again. My stomach was cramping yet again. And a little voice inside my head started saying, "You're not cut out for this, Simon. It always happens. Everyone else looks stronger. You should just walk it in." And here's the bit I'm really, really embarrassed to say, particularly as a coach. I actually listened to those voices. For the next 10 miles, I let that little devil that was on my shoulder talk louder than the angel. He controlled my race. Every time I tried to run, he whispered, "Your heart rate's too high. Your legs hurt. You'll blow up completely. Just finish and be happy." So it could have been a respectable time on that day, but it wasn't. It became a death march. You see, that voice, it's not trying to protect you from hurting yourself. It's trying to keep you comfortable. The breakthrough I had came when I learned to acknowledge the little voice, but not to obey it. Now I have mantras like, okay, this is temporary, it'll get better. I've trained for this and pushed through it in training. Take the next mile at a time and see what happens. So the voice is still there, but I just don't give the amplification anymore. Now, you'd have thought that I'd have got everything sorted. Nutrition, pacing, mental game, but I was still making one tactical error that was costing me a lot of time. You see, by now I'd done plenty of Ironmans, and so in my head I was an Ironman triathlete. I'm supposed to be doing a run, not a walk. And if I walked, well, I was sort of admitting that I was weak as a runner, which I was, but I still didn't want to show it. So I'd rather shuffle at 12-minute miles than walk for 30 seconds. Now, Ironman Wales, around mile 14 and 15, I was shuffling so slowly that the folks in the aid station who were walking alongside to give me water were keeping up with me. I mean, how embarrassing is that? My form was shot, my efficiency was gone, but I still had my pride. So I still kept trying to pick those feet up. I lost more hours in those final 11 miles to people who were using strategic walk breaks. So here's the truth. Pride costs time. A planned 60-second walk break every mile is much, much faster than an unplanned 5, 10, 15, 20, 60-minute shove. I should have used what Bobby McGee calls broken endurance, a strategic walk break that would have helped to reset my posture, lower my heart rate, and help me to keep moving efficiently. You've got to remember this, the goal isn't to run every step, it's actually to cover 26.2 miles as fast as possible, even if that means a little bit of walking. Right, here's the mistake that I said changed everything for me. It's not about time, pace or mental strength, and this one's going to surprise you. Every race I did was about the watch and the clock, going sub 10, going sub 11, beating last year's time on my PB. I'd spend the whole day doing maths, calculating splits, wondering whether I was on pace, stressing about that, but ignoring the beautiful coastline, the incredible volunteers, all those other athletes that I chatted with on the way around. I missed all of that. At Ironman Canada, one of my early races actually, I had perfect conditions, I was feeling strong, I was on track for a massive PB, but at mile 20 as I came into town I realised that I'd been focused so much on the watch that I hadn't noticed the spectators and all those people by the side of the road. It should have been the best moment of my short triathlon career to that point, but when I crossed the finish line, although I felt good about the time, I had no great memories. So the clock will always be there, but those memories won't be unless you create them. So now I race with what I call present pace. I'm much more aware of my effort and strategy, but I try to stay connected to the experience. And here's the irony. When I stopped being connected to my watch, stopped obsessing over times, my times got better. I actually took another 20 minutes off that time to get my personal best ever because I was a relaxed athlete and relaxed athletes race faster. So those 5 mistakes, they cost me hundreds of hours lost, but the lessons transformed how I race now. And that's the beautiful thing about endurance sports. Every mistake you make is a teacher if you're willing to listen. So, if you're preparing for your own iron distance journey, try not to learn those lessons the hard way like I did. In the next video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what I'd do if I had to race one more Ironman next year. The complete system I would use after learning these lessons the hard way. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button below, especially if it helped, and feel free to drop a comment with your biggest race day mistake. I respond to them all. Trust me, We've all been there. Until the next video, train smart and race smarter.